Welcome to the Awareness Space podcast, everyone. As always, I will start my intention for this episode and podcast as a whole. When we become aware of what's going on for us in this moment and doing so with compassion, safety, and non-judgment, we can begin to heal. The question is, how can we integrate this sense of awareness to create a steady and resilient way of life? What daily practices can we implement? What kind of well-being support can we engage in? And what mental and emotional resources can we cultivate within? This is what I seek out to discover via this podcast. All we have is this moment, and how can we best know how to engage with it for a sense of peace within? Now, everybody, we are back for my short form episode, so about half an hour, just catching up with previous guests. I'm really excited today because we are sat down with Brodie Klotz, who was actually on episode 3. We're now on episode 64. That's crazy. This was back near Christmas time, or just after Christmas. And it's just crazy to see the journey that Brodie's gone on and that I have gone on since then. So I just want to welcome you back, Brodie, for your 5th podcast appearance.
Thank you so much, Owen. I'm so grateful, and I can't believe I've got so much to talk about, especially after the 5th podcast experience. So it's been a blessing. So I'm really excited to be back and to share so much knowledge and add value to your wonderful community that you're creating.
Thank you, my friend. And I think we grow so much, don't we? So much in a week we can grow and discover things, especially if we're healing and working through our mental health struggles. So there's always more lessons to learn and to share with the world. And I encourage people to go back and listen. I mean, there's lots of episodes. There was a panel show with Kieran and Jason. There was our amazing one-to-one about ADHD and present moment awareness. There was our chat on Man Cove Wellbeing, where we heard about your story. That will be re-released in a couple of weeks' time. So there's plenty there, guys. You even interviewed me. And I put that out on my own podcast channels. That was very special. I want to thank you for holding that space. But how have you been, man? You know, I know the audience haven't heard from you for a little while. So how are things? How's business? And what have you been up to?
Thank you so much. And I love that introduction. I swear I could listen to that for a lot longer. So thank you for having me. So my name's Brodie, and yeah, I've had the privilege to be on Owen's podcast and collaboration 5 times now. And we've created such an incredible friendship. And what I've been up to is just a lot of spiritual healing, spiritual in a way of just trying to find out what Brodie likes, what Brodie doesn't like, and kind of just getting back to alignment. So what I have been doing, I've had a year of being a wellness blogger. So I talk about all things mental health, and I've just had a pleasure I've been really grateful to be able to have a story and have a platform to share my story. I think it's really important, especially since starting in March 2020. That was when Australia, I live in Brisbane, that went actually into lockdown. So we haven't been out of the pandemic since March. So it's been really nice progression. And I started wellness coaching in March. So I get to coach people through holistic nutrition and holistic program. So I've been really well. There's a lot of changes, Owen. I changed into different clients that I'm supporting. So with my caring role, I work roughly 25 hours a week, which is a lot better than 40 hours a week. So I'm finding more time to do the things I love. So I love going back to nature on the weekends. I love spending time with my wife. So because I work online and do lots of collaborations at night, my wife has been so supportive. We have set times going, okay, I'm going to be doing this in these set times. And then we can have some wine and cheese night where we play Scrabble. I'm terrible at making words. I use my phone and just sit in each other's presence and just watch comedy. Because I think what I've learned, especially talking about my story, it's so, I won't say draining, but it can be very different each time I tell it. And a lot of people have actually said, do you get, how do you cope with telling your story when it's quite personal and it's been quite raw? And I say, I feel like I'm someone else's survival guide. So someone that where Brodie was a year ago, he needs to hear this. So that's how I've gone with it. But yeah, it's 7 months in and still doing coaching and loving it, in the process of moving and purchasing a new home in the next few months, which is very nerve-wracking, but more exciting. and still caring with disability. So I take clients out, community access, whatever they want to choose.
Yeah, thank you so much, man, for sharing all that. And obviously you've got lots going on, so I'm always keeping an eye on you, making sure you're not doing too much. And social media in itself is like a full-time job, right? Especially because
100%.
your stories the Instagram stories are really cool and really fun. But I can see how much work must go into that. And like you said, in the evenings you're doing stuff with your clients and you're upline, downline, and all the team stuff that you've got going on. I think it's hard, isn't it, when we really love what we do, is knowing those boundaries that we need to have for ourselves. But also what's really important is to express yourself no matter where you're at. So what I really like about your Instagram page, I encourage people to check out, is that it's very authentic. So on the days that you're struggling, you share how that struggle looks. When you're feeling great, you share how it is to feel great. So people can see that realistically, life is going to have moments where we are feeling like crap and when we are feeling great. And it's knowing how best to balance that so we don't get stuck down in the depths of the stuff we struggle with, but also not spending too much time super pumped up and burning ourselves out with excitement. So it's tricky, isn't it, mate? Especially because I know with the ADHD side of your situation, like we talked about before, it's tricky, isn't it, knowing how to ebb and flow your day to day so you always have space to re-regulate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well said. I think a lot of people with ADHD or with high functioning anxiety or high functioning depression. Like I recently just got off my antidepressants. So I've gone down from night medication. So I don't have any night medications. I was on 75 milligrams. This is for depression and anxiety, which I no longer experience. Obviously we have low moods and it's normal, right? I love how you describe anxiety in your top 5, how you talk about how you cope. But for me, I've definitely felt the last few days of feeling nauseous, feeling dissociated. And I said to my dad when he was visiting, I said, I got to remember how I feel now. If I want to get back on tablets, I've got to go back to the withdrawal state. So I have days, like I try to do a calendar. I set out my days. So I got time to just not dissociate, but deregulate, as you said. So for me, like obviously screen time after 9 is probably not preferable, but sometimes, I'm going to have big weeks, and then I look at my calendar next week and go, okay, I need to go to the gym more. I need to read more. I need to journal more. So it's all about self-discovery. And what I love about what I do, Owen, and also love just collaborating and connecting and making friends, but it's personal development. So I feel like I get paid to develop, which is probably the most coolest thing I've done in my working life. I get to develop my skills and also develop others.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And like you said, it's kind of being able to tune in, so get ahead of the game, so noticing when things are starting to build up, looking at your calendar, what you've got coming up. But when it comes to listening to the body, I want to ask you this question, is that when we're kind of tuning in saying, now, how do I feel? Do I feel slightly agitated? Do I feel a bit tired? Do I feel like I'm really having to push through this right now to get this done? When it comes to sort of listening and making good choices ahead of any potential burnout or spiraling back down to where you were, how does that look? How do you listen? Is it body scanning? Is it meditation? Is it just sitting down and taking a moment to reflect? How does that look?
Yeah, no, I find that when I don't do my miracle morning when I wake up, so I really encourage everybody, and I also, my customers, I don't like the word customers, if my clients and my team are going to be listening in, they always go, oh, Brodie, in the miracle morning, but it really is a miracle morning. I read a book from Hal Elrod, and he talks about, having a shower in the morning, brushing your teeth, meditating, journal writing, gratitude. So like for me, if I'm at work and doing 6 hours and I go, I don't think I've journal right. So when I'm waking up, I've just literally had breakfast, out the door, driving, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I haven't had time for Brodie. So when I get time driving, because I'm on the road a lot of the days, is I like turn off the music. Sometimes like on the way I listen to Audible, like personal development. And then sometimes I just listen to no music and nothing in the car, and I just drive and like kind of body scan, but also just put the windows down and just look around safely while driving. But for me, meditation has always helped me ground. But I think it's interesting, Owen, when we are working so intensely with people, and things come up, other people around, like you and Jace and Kieran, and Joseph, and even all the others that beautiful like community that we have, they see things that I don't see. They go, Brodie, like, and even my coach says, what you're sleeping like, what are you eating like? And because I'm so in flow sometimes, I forget to look after me. So it's nice to have people to look outside from your, I guess, circle. And yeah, I always love constructive feedback, because if you're not learning and growing, then you're not evolving.
Yeah, it's really powerful, man. It's kind of like setting the scene, isn't it? It's kind of starting your day, like you said, or what you did there, of tuning in right from the get-go. Like, where am I at today? How is this day going to unfold? I'm feeling a little bit agitated, or a little bit, I feel like that wasn't a great night's sleep, so I know I'm not going to be able to tolerate as much today. So it's setting the scene early. Like you said, if you want to stay off the meds, it's important to give your nervous system what it needs so it can stay regulated as much as possible. And it's not easy to keep these things going, because I'm sure, as you're aware, when you really enjoy something and you're really passionate and everything's going really well, and you feel like you need to be there for other people too, and there's something wrong with that. It's, before you know it, you've done so much, it's been so exciting, you burn out your adrenals, and then you crash, and that can open the door to some of the other stuff that we've experienced in the past and make us feel really, 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 really crap. So it's I keep banging on about this on the show, because it's sometimes when life's really, really good, it's much easier to burn yourself out than when you're feeling not so good, because you're less likely to do stuff. So it's just knowing, isn't it, and setting the scene for your day ahead.
No, I love that. I think it's really important what you said, because nobody wakes up feeling motivated 100%. And, there's a lot of days where my uplines, my downlines, my mentors, a lot of people put people on pedestals, and they look at Instagram. And I think a lot of people, and I've been guilty of it many times through the years, and growing and being aware of it. So like, if you're having you're feeling agitated, you're doing the body scan, or you're having meditation, things come up. The worst thing is checking stories and content, and there's so much information. So your brain is going to be fried throughout the day if you're at work, or you coach, whatever. But like, if you start the day with checking messages, checking Instagram, TikTok, everything like that, first thing in the morning, you're giving yourself that. Like, how I look at it and quickly summarize is, you got a full tank of fuel, and most people put in 98% premium, the good fuel. What you fuel your body is good food and good nutrition, because if our gut is 90% of what we eat and how we feel, with our serotonin levels. But for me, like, I sometimes feel I'm at my petrol lights on, and it's only lunchtime, and I go, wow, what's happened? And then as we said, we be aware, on the awareness space, we be aware. We go, oh my God, I skipped breakfast, I didn't take my supplements, which I always do. But for an example, like, little things like that can really add up, and it's just being consistent. And I know it's tough waking up early and it's getting colder, but it's just being consistent. It's no secret sauce. I think a lot of people, they overcomplicate it, and they don't do things that make them happy. So if you don't want to get up at 4 o'clock, get up at 5 o'clock. Just do what's best for you and your body. I think a lot of people try to copy people, and this is where they get stuck and beat themselves up and go through the cycle.
Yeah, it's a powerful message, man, because we're all human beings, obviously, and we're more similar than we are different. But our history and everything we've experienced, and the struggles we've been through, and the triumphs we've had, do shape how our body is, how it works, how our gut works, how our heart rate is set at a certain standard, how our neural pathways work, all the programming that's been built over that time. And it just takes time, and a lot of self-compassion can get us there. And from a ADHD perspective, I encourage people to go back and listen to our full episode that we did. It was amazing, and it was really insightful for me to see how that works, because we talk about present moment awareness and becoming calm and still and reflecting and doing this kind of stuff. And that's suggesting that you can control, in any given moment, you can control what your body's doing or what your mind is up to. And we don't want to control things. That creates a sense of pull and resistance and like, hey, don't do that. You have to do it very gently and compassionately. But I imagine with ADHD, it must be trickier because not only are you trying to generally see where you're at, you also are having these peaks and these crashes, and you're having to work around a much more biologically shifting situation inside of yourself. So how do you think that's just added motivation to take even more better care of yourself, or is it just the same thing? It's just a little bit more work.
I want to sit on the fence and say both, but for me, I have always been, I'm still trying to relearn this, but, you know, when I was a kid in school, I was told, you know, I was stupid, I was special, I've gone to, you know, special English and special maths. So like for me, you know, I dissociated with school and hard work, and I just said, well, this is what I'm going to be. Like teachers gave me a meat pie and said, this is your life, you're going to be a tradie, or they gave me a knife and said, you're going to be a chef. Like, it was very hard in school. So for me, that belief came in saying, I've got to be the hardest worker in the room. That can be really tough, because if you say, I've got to do this and do this, that when I became perfectionist, I had to post every day on Instagram. I've got to be on every IGTV. I've got to be everywhere. And it's hard, because I really thank you for that compliment, because I've been working on my Instagram, because a lot of people loved what I went through, but also in relation to the wellness guy being well, it was very scary and very, I had to be very careful, because I've gotten better. I've got off my medications. I'm in a lot better headspace than where I was a year ago, you know, when I was in the mental health hospital, that people wanted to see more and sadness, and they only saw me as sad. They never saw me as real, happy, if that makes sense. So I've had to make that balance, which was very tricky. But that's another kettle of fish other people can read on that. I listen to the next video. But for me, ADHD and just completing daily tasks and staying on track, I find it really hard, because I'm not sure if you know too much about the human design, mate, but the human design is like a test you can do. And I did my test and I was a manifesting generator. So I don't know too much about it, but when everything is aligned, I can, you know, work 12-hour days, you know, feeling really inspired. And when everything is all good, things can go well. But for me, I need to love what I do and go through different things. But I find being Brodie, because I don't like the labels, and I've been to different psychiatrists before, and they said, oh, you're bipolar, or you're split personality, or you're borderline, or you don't have ADHD, it's your bad diet. Like it's kind of scary. But for me, I just go with my symptoms. And I had a really good chat with Kieran recently, and he said, I just see you as Brodie, I don't see you as all those mental health conditions. And it was refreshing, because all my life I've been told, this is your meds, this is your life, that's just Brodie. And I think it's scary to be labeled as something, because I've known in the past that I've just said, oh, well, this is just my life, which it can be very different. But what I'm learning about ADHD is that I, you know, do speak fast. I can be forgetful. I can get really hyper focused, and with people with high empaths, I did my personality test. I came back yellow, like Robin Williams, you know, all those extrovert people, and I've just got to be careful of my burnout. So I was listening to this book called The Mask of Masculinity, and it was about the mask we wear. And I came back as Joker, which I know you know me, and that there's no surprise. I cope through my pain and humor through helping others laugh and be funny and calm. So for me, that's all about awareness of, you know, knowing when to look after others, but also look after me. So yeah, I definitely have to be very, very careful of, you know, making sure I sleep, making sure I exercise, and making sure I'm not having too much processed food and soft drink as possible, because obviously that impacts my energy and also my hyperactivity.
Yeah, thank you, man, for sharing all that. And I know we talked about in the previous episode about this sense of, you know, when we get given these labels, so often we identify with that, it becomes our identity. So we succumb to these things, say, oh, this is just who I am, this is what I have, this is the main part of my identity, is that I have this thing and it impacts my life. And it could even be the talking point with people when you're out and about and you own it. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because like Kieran said, when it comes down to it, you strip all of this away. All we are in this moment is sensory information, and certain thoughts are flying in this moment. None of this we really control that much. It just comes in. So we're just a set of these experiences of being human in any given moment. And it's so easy to say, oh God, this keeps happening, I must have an anxiety issue, or this keeps happening, so I must have bipolar, or this keeps happening, I must have an addiction to food or to work. And it's so easy to put ourselves in a box, sign it off and say, this is just who I am, I succumb to it, this is my identity. And really, when it comes down to it, even outside of our own names, we are just a human being with a set of experiences that we have. And a lot of that is informed by the past. So we just need to honor where we're at right now, not label anything, just honor it. I feel this way right now. I hear you, body. I hear you, mind. I'm listening. What do we need? Do we need to rest? Do we need to have a bath? Do we need to go for a walk? And just forget about all of the other labeling stuff. Just be here right now and honor what you need to feel regulated and safe and socially connected once again.
Well said. I love that. It's perfect.
Amazing. Thank you, mate. So conscious of time. So you mentioned it a little bit earlier, like with the car, really like that, turn off the music and taking in all the nature as you're going along. So just before we go, just briefly, there are a few little, just remind us again of the few key ways that you remain kind of steady and flow. So I presume nature is one of them by the sounds of it. What else does that look like? Just steady and flow in your life.
So technology-free weekends. So I leave my phone. So it's funny. My wife recently is stopped coaching, so she's focused on full-time work and going to study. So for us, you know, when we go out on weekends, you look at photos, content, and it can be stressful. Like we go out on dinner and like I've got to take a story or I've got to take a picture, and like I think sometimes the best connection is nature. That's the best Wi-Fi, as we both know. So I leave my phone at home and we just go out, and it's really good for Brodie to get all those rushes, go, Brodie, story or content or this, because you know we look at things, and like I love getting good pictures of the beach and good pictures, like just for content. I love to do that, but it can be dangerous because I'm not present. I'm just thinking about my post and I'm thinking about next week. So I'm not really relaxing, am I? So for me, phones away, be with my wife, and we have a rule where one day we just don't talk about business or bills or goals. We just talk about just life. Isn't that funny? That person wears jeans and it's summer. Like, you know what I mean? Like just weird things. I like people watching. Another thing I love is tennis. I used to play tennis quite competitively. So tennis is always a fun game. It's very social. And it reminds me back of, you know, when I used to play competitively. So it's really good to have fun, but also relive the good days. Nature, I love hiking at the moment. Just love pushing my body outside its comfort zone, because, you know, it can be a dangerous sport, hiking. So it's all about thinking, can I climb this? If it's dark, what things do we have? So it's all about that. And I actually just love grounding at the moment. So we don't have a lot of grass where we live, but because I work near the beach, after work, I don't drive home straight away because I'm so just in work. I sit, put my feet near the sand, and I just do breathing with the ocean. So count my breath for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 6. So it's so freeing because everyone's so stressed. Huge traffic queue. They turn on the news, they watch Netflix, they go to bed. There's not really awareness of we are humans in a world where, you know, we're so lucky. We're so lucky to have a bed and food and health. And obviously, you know, in the UK, India, US, you guys obviously getting back to nature, back to things, but it's happened in Australia. I think a lot of people need to realize the more we show gratitude, the more we will receive. So those things have been working really well with me, and just having better communication with my wife, knowing, okay, I'm pretty stressed out, I'm doing this, don't worry, we'll catch up on Saturday, and just letting her know what's going on, because if you don't let people in, how can you get support as well? So I need support as well. So I have a mindset coach, and I also have other coaches in my life to make me show up and be who I am today.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, man. What I really like is the common theme throughout that. So the sense of connection, be it to nature and to those around you, this sense of spaciousness and sort of liberation from the expectations of life in the world, and kind of just being really, really present. Like you said, it's nothing better, I find, than turn off my internet. I did it last night for a couple of hours. I turned it off and it was the best. I did miss it. I was trying to pick up my phone, have a look, but there's nothing there because everything was off. But it's really powerful, and I'll just sit there and look at my beautiful view out my window and just take it all in. And it sounds like a bit weird and a bit silly to, I'm sure, to a lot of people, but actually it's really powerful. It makes you really reflect. And I just really encourage people to take on board what you just said, because we've got an untapped resource of energy top-ups outside out there, waiting for us to be with. And just sit in that kind of open, liberating space that is nature. Very powerful. So, my friend, what's next for you? What's the plan? What you got coming up? You've got lots going on already. So, is it much of the same, or have you got any big news to share?
So I have got a few things coming up. So, personally, my wife and I are in the process of moving down to the Gold Coast. So, it's about an hour and a half where I live. So, my wife recently got a full-time job, so that's really exciting for her. She's going to have a bit more secure, knowing how much she gets paid, when she works, so we can have a bit more better work-life balance. But for me, I'm still doing coaching. I'm extending my coaches in the US at the moment, so I'm really excited to be helping others get healthier and wealthier at the same time, because it's crazy world out there. I think a lot of people are realizing that one income stream is not enough, and just having multiple streams of income and doing what they love. So I'm still loving what I'm doing with coaching. And then in the next 1 to 2 years, I'm not putting any pressure on me, but I've had a lot of calling to do this, and I've been wanting to do it. And I've been doing it at my own pace, but I will be opening my Zooms. And obviously when the pandemic kind of calms down, I want to look into one-on-one coaching, focusing on anxiety and specializing in family trauma, family relationships. So I'll be going back to uni and studying counseling, and then I can study that and then go into schools. That's what my passion was, to go into schools and talk about my life. And it's not always so vital to get OP1s and all this. I really want to talk about validating going to therapy. I want to validate parents that split, because I know a lot of people go down the path of alcoholism, drugs, early pregnancies, and that's where issues start from 13 onwards. So my passion is obviously to get the piece of paper. It's vital, I know. And then also there's a lot of people on Instagram saying, I'd love to, I don't want to do, the supplements in the program, but do you offer one-on-one? And I said, no, I do, but I don't have, that credentials yet. So yeah, the next 1 to 2 years, you might see me doing a little bit more work like that, but I'm just focusing on myself, and I'm just really looking after Brodie. So I think the best thing that's happening to Brodie is he's actually saying no to things, which is really weird. I've had people going, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm just really full at the moment. And the people that do respect that, thank you. And the people that don't, it's just boundaries. And I think what I'd love for people to know about boundaries is that you just can't keep giving so much of yourself, because I've experienced burnout, and it's not nice, and you can't help anyone if you are not at your best. So that's what's happening. Thank you so much for letting me share tonight. And I just feel so safe with you, and I love what you do and how you hold that space. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing all that, because it's so important with the boundaries. I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's a big lesson for everybody. You know, I've been out a few times, and it's not pleasant, and it's so hard to say no sometimes when you care about people, you really want to help them. But you know, those that will get that, which you know, all of my friends on Instagram get. You know, all you guys, everyone who comes from this arena, we all get it. We know what each other needs. It's like, that's cool, bro. Like, I'm just here when you're ready. When you're ready, and it's really lush when you know that people are there for you, even if they're not around right now. They need you just to give them some space, and they'll return. And that feels really nice. There's a level of trust there, and it allows you to really cultivate deep connections. So I want to thank you for that. And yeah, good luck with all of that. I can't wait to see how that all unfolds, doing the counseling work and getting those credentials down on paper. And no doubt that you'll help a lot of people in the process, like you are now. So I just want to thank you for being back on the show for the 5th time. Thank you for being a great mate. And I just really hope one day when this bloody pandemic ends, I can actually meet all of you guys in real life, and we can have a good old hug, because that's what the pandemic has really made me miss. It's made me miss hugs.
Absolutely. We're so excited to, I've been to the UK, so I've got a list and I'm checking it twice, and I can't wait to meet you. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I think if you learn anything from this meeting, is that anyone can do what we do. It's not everyone can do what we do, but I think anyone can achieve what they want to do. And I think the problem in today's society is that we've got so much information out there, and I've been guilty of it. You have all these things to do, but you just don't do it. But I think the number one thing that you keep writing down your to-do list, please do that, because the world needs you to do that. If it keeps coming back to you, I just want you to do it, because we only get one life. And unfortunately, with my grief and loss and trauma, I've realized that we do get one life. It's very, very short. But if we live it to the way we, with our values and how we align to things, one life is all we need.
That's beautiful, man. What a lovely sentiment to wrap up today. So what's the best place that people could check you out? It's Instagram, isn't it? So where can we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just my name. So Brodie, BRODIE .wellness. Guy. So I'm on Instagram. I'm very open to messages, and give me a few business days as well, because my inbox always get flooded with lots of love. I call them blessages, so I don't get overwhelmed. They're just beautiful people wanting to connect. And I'm open. If you have a business you want me to promote on my Instagram, I'm all about community over competition. So Brodie.wellness guy, and then you can go on my link tree and you can check out Owen and I's conversation on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, definitely check that out, people. And like you said, go back. There's lots of episodes, Brodie. You'll see him pop up, his picture and his name. And he interviews me all about self-compassion. I really love that. It was really nice to be a guest on my actual own show. Very surreal, but it was really, really cool. So yeah, everybody go and check it out. I will release our first ever conversation that we had about your story in depth. It was very powerful, very emotional. So I'll re-release that in a couple of weeks when I have my little podcast break. So thank you, Brodie. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching at home. If you've been watching this on IGTV, you can actually listen to this and download it wherever you want and listen to it in your own time as an audio. If you're listening on the podcast channels, head over to YouTube and Instagram TV and see our beautiful faces. And just, dive into as much content as you feel is appropriate for you. But I want to thank everybody, all my patrons, Alyssa Scolari, Emerald McLeod, Mike Morgan, and Maggie Palmer for your donations on Patreon. It's just really nice to be validated in that way, alongside my full-time job. It's nice to have, as Brodie said, a few different streams of income. I have completely transformed and changed my life. I'll talk about this future episode. I've quit my business. It's a long story, but I feel so liberated, and I started writing my book last night. So I had no idea when the book's coming out, but I absolutely loved writing that first chapter, and I hope that all of you get a lot of gain from that. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next time.